Since 2010, after these elections initiated by the former military regime, the country has been witnessing a lot of changes, of course, in terms of the social life, in terms of the economic life, in terms of political life.
We've seen the fundamental political organization of the country change, despite of the fact that, of course, this is what's commonly been called as a transition period.
After 2008, the new constitutions was drafted and adopted, and now they changed the civilian government from military government. But even though the same, the general became, they changed the clothes from uniform to the civilian clothes.
Before that, for an organization to form up, for activity to be held, even for just a workshop or a training, it's quite difficult. There were lots of procedures to be done to do, But after the opening up, they loosen up those kind of procedures, so we can conduct training more easily and conduct our activities more easily.
Openness of, like economic opportunities, as well as a few space for the freedom of expression, freedom of media, and international community. They can freely visit to our country now. They can talk with the people. They can films about us like this. So if you are measuring with this, you could say that there are some few positive changes, of course.
The economics of the country has massively changed. You've seen industries liberalized. You've seen the policy outlook towards investment adapt to new engagement with the international community, new interest from international investors.
A lot of international pressure, and also the inside, the activist democracy movement also made this government to start changing, start reform.
There is great hope being placed that the political reorganization of the country will result in immediate economic benefit for the majority of the population.
In the past, people could see oppression visibly. People could see that there is no freedom of expression. There is no freedom of media. But now, people started to see that there is no more problems in our country. But if you look at people's life, our lives are not improving.
Still, we have a lot of change in physically, but we still have fear inside us.
Before this government, we don't have a visible number of internally displaced people, but right now, in Jaquet, in Rakhine, in Carine, there are more and more internally displaced persons because of the ethnic conflict, communal conflict, and there are a lot of communal violence in some big major cities of our countries. People got killed on the road, because of the hate speech.
After the 2010 opening up, the government has started to trying to negotiate for peace agreement with ethnic armed groups and ethnic groups.
So our country is being known as the longest civil war country in the world.
Right now also there's a ongoing peace process. So the new government led by the President U Tin Singh now called for ceasefire. So many, more than 16, 17 the armed group had signed individually for the ceasefire with the government.
The National Coordination Team, National Ceasefire Coordination Team, we call this NCCT, and Ethnic Arms Organization that we assigned the Nationwide Ceasefire Agreement, NCA.
The ethnic arms conflict is a long fight with the ethnic groups and the state government of our country. And the root cause of this problem is not recognizing minorities' rights and not providing equal share of power and opportunities.
So they don't have an equal, politically equal right, like the ones, chief minister of the ethnic state is not elected by their own ethnic people.
The peace process is always about the negotiation between the top, the leaders, the negotiation party leaders, means the armed group leaders and then the government's leader.
The peace process must go forward, of course, because the people are staying with the conflict for a long time, many years, that they also need to develop their life. But the politics and the peace process that we have seen these days is not really on the right track.
The people might not talking about federal. The people might not thinking about economic independence, economic management, but they might be talking about their daily life, like the clean waters, accessibility, transportations, good school, education for them, economic life for them.
Unless the state government solve this problem, there will not be peace, there will not be stability.
We still need to trust each other because we have a lot of ethnic groups being oppressed by the government for a long time. So they don't have a trust anymore to the government.
The main concept they are using in every site, like also Myanmar or other group, are okay, we need to defend ourselves. Like for example, in the government, sometimes they say it's like one of the symbolic speaking since 1964 and last year is that they use one set. Is to exchange the, peace and arms. Like that, this is the motto. In Burmese is, I think we cannot change in that way. The only thing that they can do is they have to do exchange with arm to arm, peace to peace. No arm and peace, no peace to arm, like that.
If they don't trust each other, the ceasefire, the agreement is just a paper.
The peace process is not the one-day issue. It's a long-term process.
We would say we have a new government in 2010, right? But of course, 2015 is a very short period that we can say there is difference then.
There's a lot of expectation being placed in terms of the impact of all these reforms, in terms of the outcome of this transition. There's a real question of to what extent these expectations can be met.
Of course, in the short time that we cannot see the change that we really want to see.
These things take time, and I think when I say there's social upheaval, it's a result of the clash between expectations and delivery on those expectations.
We still need to change the people feelings.
The only thing is just only to find another alternative way or creative way. Then is that you mean that you overcome that problem.
For me, as a people are still thinking, they are not powerful, So they don't believe, the power of people until now. I think these things have to change first, and then we can move, we can push the government bit by bit, little by little.
I'm quite positive in those changes. So it changed a little bit slowly, but it's changing. That's what we feel and what we believe as we are working in those change.